For half a century, the global energy market has operated under a very specific set of rules, dictated by a single, highly coordinated organization. This diagram illustrates the core mechanism of that control. When prices drop, the group tightens the tap on production, creating artificial scarcity to force that global price gauge right back into the lucrative $80 to $90 per barrel zone. But one of the most vital pillars of that system is now walking away. The United Arab Emirates, an integral member since 1967, is exiting the organization. Major outlets like the BBC are reporting this as the most significant development in energy politics in 50 years. With a top-tier producer like the UAE gone, the group's collective ability to dictate global supply is significantly diminished. The entire purpose of this group is to maximize wealth for its members. So why exactly does a nation with some of the world's largest oil reserves voluntarily give up its seat at the table? The UAE's departure signals the end of unified price fixing. The global market is transitioning out of a strictly controlled environment and into a period of volatile, open competition. To understand the exit, you have to look outside the energy sector. Abu Dhabi and Dubai have spent decades cultivating a reputation as safe havens for international business, tourism, and massive cultural events. That image of absolute security was shaken when Iranian drones targeted these coastal hubs. The strikes forced the UAE to reconsider its regional partnerships. Despite the billions spent on advanced hardware and regional defense treaties, no collective action materialized from the UAE's Arab neighbors when these attacks occurred. The frustration even extended to Pakistan. When they declined to provide military support, the UAE immediately demanded the return of a $3 billion investment, signaling a breakdown in trust with its traditional allies. This security failure prompted a strategic shift. If collective defense groups were failing to protect Emirati interests, then participating in collective economic cartels, which require the UAE to sacrifice its own production potential for the group, was no longer a viable trade-off. Leaving OPEC is an act of economic sovereignty. The UAE is moving away from a group-first mentality, choosing instead to prioritize its own survival and independent market leverage. By cutting ties, the UAE instantly sheds its production caps. They are no longer bound by the diplomatic pressure to keep oil in the ground just to help their competitors maintain a target price. Look at this split-screen projection comparing their output potential. On the left, you see the restricted capacity of an active member. On the right, the meter surges as the independent UAE unleashes its full extraction capabilities. This shift toward maximum extraction floods the supply chain. When a major player ramps up production this significantly, it becomes much harder for the remaining cartel members to keep global prices artificially high. Other nations are now caught in a structural trap. To maintain their market share against the UAE's higher volumes, competing sellers are forced to lower their own prices, sparking a market-wide race for buyers. The Emirates are using their massive underground reserves as a tool for independence. They are betting that selling more oil at a lower price is better for their future than selling less oil at a price they can't control. The fallout from this shift is playing out in real time across the Indian subcontinent, highlighting the difference between nations that plan for volatility and those that don't. Pakistan operates with almost no strategic reserves, relying on short-term commercial stocks that last as little as 5 days. Without a buffer, any global supply fluctuation leads to immediate price hikes for the public. India, however, has spent years building a defensive shield. Their strategic reserves, vast quantities of crude stored for emergencies, contain enough oil to sustain the entire country for a month and a half. The UAE's exit creates a unique opportunity for India. Previously, OPEC's production quotas limited how much oil the UAE could actually bring to market, effectively capping the volume available for long-term export deals. Now, without those group-mandated ceilings, the UAE can negotiate higher-volume, direct supply agreements. This allows oil to move from Emirati ports through Oman and straight to India, avoiding the volatile Strait of Hormuz. The global map is also changing. This defection weakens OPEC+, making it harder for Russia to stabilize its own revenue through group production cuts, while potentially offering the U.S. economy a reprieve from high energy costs. We are moving into an era where centralized control is fading. Going forward, energy prices will be driven by open competition and the ability of nations to secure their own independent supply lines.